Happy Wednesday, Reno. Let's get into another episode of Inside the Den. UNLV week, Chris.
It's a big week.
Huge week. I mean, the old saying, as Chris Salt says, you could lose all the games, but if you beat UNLV, it makes a season. I know you pushed back on that.
Well, I thought you were going to go with there are three things that are red and they're all bad. It's like
exactly.
UNLV, communism, and the devil, which I don't know if he actually ever said that
I
either.
don't know. Yeah.
I've not asked him ever if he said that. It's a fun week, though. I mean, Nevada, the Wolfpack in general, is branding itself Nevada's college town. And obviously, Las Vegas has become like Nevada's pro sports town. When you're unveiling a Stanley Cup championship like VGK did yesterday, probably the battle for the Fremont Cannon is not high on the list of events that Las Vegas sports teams participate in. They get a Formula One race. They have a NASCAR race this weekend. They're playing for WNBA championship. So they've got bigger fish to fry for Reno and the Wolfpack. This is the biggest fish of the season. Every year you enter a new year, the biggest sporting event that year for local sports is going to be the battle for the Fremont Cannon. I think even more important this year, because Nevada's been so poor, lost 15 straight games. I think this will define Nevada's season. Either maybe it helps turn the season around, or it's kind of the final nail in the coffin of the season. So we'll see what happens on Saturday.
We will see. If we get into the nitty-gritty of the matchup, you have a UNLV offense that's 6th ranked in the Mountain West, a Nevada offense that's 12th ranked, last in the Mountain West. I think a good matchup potentially is the UNLV rushing offense against the Nevada rushing defense. If you look at the metrics, the UNLV rushing offense ranks 2nd only behind Air Force as a rushing unit. Now, Nevada has been better with like James Hansen at nose and those linebackers like Drew Watts defending the run. How do you see that matchup kind of like formulating on Saturday?
Yeah, on our website, I outlined the 5 things Nevada needs to do to win this game, and the number one thing is slow down UNLV's rushing attack. 214 run yards per game, 17 rushing touchdowns. All of last year, they had only 18 rushing touchdowns. So this is a UNLV offense that has scored at least 40 points in 4 of its 5 games. The only time it didn't was at Michigan. Not a lot of people are going to put up 40 at Michigan. So this offense has been much, much better under Barry Odom, their first-year head coach. And the reason why is because they're running the ball super effectively. They've got like 4 or 5 guys who are around 150 or more yards this season. So it's a nice, varied backfield, which is kind of interesting because Aiden Robbins, their best running back last year, transferred to BYU. There was some thought that they wouldn't be able to run the ball as well. So Nevada is stronger in run defense than they are in pass defense. I think that's a good matchup for Nevada. And then you look at where can Nevada take advantage of UNLV with its offense. UNLV's secondary is very poor. Now, I don't know that Nevada can really probe into that weakness because we've seen the Wolfpack passing game has really struggled. Brendan Lewis last game against Fresno State didn't even have 100 passing yards. They're going to stick with him over A.J. Bianco in that starting role. But I think if they don't get a lot of traction their first couple series, you probably will see A.J. Bianco out there. So, defensively for Nevada, it's all about stopping the run and making UNLV beat you with the pass. And then offensively for Nevada, certainly they want to establish the run, but they got to get more out of their passing attack. So Nevada, a 9.5, 10-point underdog. It's not very often that the Wolfpack is that big of an underdog in this rivalry series, but it's kind of the roles are reversed. Usually Nevada kind of has all the pressure on itself because it's playing one of the worst teams in the FBS, UNLV, and if they lose, it's kind of embarrassing. It's the foot on the other shoe because now UNLV is a team that's 4-1, playing one of the worst teams in the FBS, Nevada. So I feel like the pressure might be on UNLV in this situation. We see if the Wolfpack can rise up and score an upset.
Yeah, we'll see. We talk about their passing offense, 186 yards per game in the passing offense. We need to see if Brandon Lewis can lead this offense or if that's A.J. Bianco. We'll see. You guys talked to Sage earlier this week. Any insight from your conversation with the offensive coordinator on plans to make this passing offense kind of
they're talking a lot about consistency because they're seeing flashes. They go against Fresno State, the best defense in the Mountain West, and they have like a 9.5-minute drive in their opening series, and then it's just 3-and-out city from there. So they believe that they can make some progress, and they have shown that they can move the ball, but Nevada's bottom 5 in the nation in points scored and bottom 5 in points allowed. There's not a lot of silver linings when that's the case. I think the biggest silver lining is the schedule Nevada's played to date is exceptionally difficult, and the schedule that UNLV has played to date, their 4 wins are over teams that have only won 2 games against FBS competition. So could UNLV be a little bit fluky with the record because they've played a soft schedule, whereas Nevada's played a more difficult schedule? I think UNLV is clearly the better team in what we've seen to this point, but I think Nevada can certainly stay in this game. Nevada if they go out there and they play some, good football. They hung with Kansas, which is a top 25 team. Defensively against Fresno State, they played pretty well, which is a top 25 team. So, we'll see exactly how Nevada is able to play in this game. But coming off a bye week, they should be healthy and rested. I think they'll be the more motivated team because Ken Wilson, this is his 21st game in this rivalry. The only two coaches with more appearances in this rivalry, Chris Alt and Mike Bradison, with 25 each. Whereas Barry Odom, he came from Arkansas where he was defensive coordinator, who was Missouri's head coach. He doesn't have as much institutional knowledge, I guess, about what this rivalry means. And I think it is a big game for both schools, but I think it's bigger for Nevada. It kind of feels like it always has been. And I think specifically in this case, with Coach Wilson having so much of his career spent at Nevada, he's going to get his guys up. You saw this in the game last year. Nevada was the more motivated team, the team that played harder early on against UNLV. They got out to that big lead, and then they made some mistakes and ended up losing that game. I think you'll see another inspired effort from the Wolfpack, probably the best game they played this season. We'll see if that's enough to win.
Yeah, we talk about it. Yeah, it's a close game last year, tipped pass away from potentially beating UNLV. Now the Cannon has flipped sides, in recent years. Does Nevada have an advantage to UNLV coming up north and playing at Mackey? We have to talk about what that could look like. Will it be a sellout, or will the atmosphere be there for Nevada, and how that will help them ultimately take on UNLV? But I suppose what do you think are some of the keys of the game outside of the passing offense that could help tilt the game in Nevada's favor?
Well, the home crowd's obviously a big deal. Can Nevada get off to a fast start, get their crowd into it? We'll see if it's a sellout. I don't think it will be a sellout given how the season's gone, but it's a 2:00 kickoff. It's not on national television. It is on Nevada Sportsnet, so you can watch it on our airwave.
Plug it in.
But I think you'll have a pretty nice crowd. So if you get off to a good start, maybe you're feeling better about yourself in terms of the intangibles. They're both coming off byes, so no advantage there. And you talk about the home field advantage. Well, UNLV has won 3 of the last 5 games at Mackey Stadium. That includes that famous 2019 brawl game. I think UNLV has kind of felt a little bit more comfortable. Basically, when Chris Alt's not on Nevada's sideline, UNLV and Nevada are the same program when you look at kind of their history against each other. When Chris Alt's coaching in this game, Nevada almost always wins. He won 8 straight games, and then he resigned, and since then, it's basically been a coin flip from 2013 on. Even with the betting line, 5 of the last 10 betting line underdogs in this game have won outright. So you have seen a lot of, throw the records out the window. You say that about rivalries. That hadn't really been the case until this last decade when Alt hasn't been in the picture. So, I think from the intangible standpoint, I do think Nevada's going to play harder in this game. They do have the home field advantage. They are coming off a bye, as is UNLV, but they've had extra time to prepare for this. And I think they're going to be very motivated because they're going to feel like this is the game that they have to win to save their season or to turn it around. And if they don't, I would be concerned, where is the morale after that? Where is the motivation after that if you've lost 16 in a row, including your first 6 to start this season? That'll be the interesting aspect is, can Nevada just execute? Because I don't think the effort's going to be an issue or the motivation. They just have not been able to execute offensively. And the last game against Fresno State, a ton of penalties, which is very unusual. 10 penalties, the second most in Ken Wilson's 2 years at Nevada. And usually when you play in a rivalry game, you're going to get a few more penalties. So can they correctly channel that emotion and try and get the best out of themselves without going over the line and making some silly mistakes? But UNLV is, like I said, kind of in the position of Nevada. If they come out and they just play a clean game and play to their potential, their ceiling right now is higher than Nevada's ceiling.
It sure is. We had John Bender here on Inside the Den earlier, and we talk about offensive line play. Kind of what do the Hogs have to do up front to get this running game going or get this passing offense going? Are we going to see any movement up there, or is it going to be the same starting 5 that we've seen throughout the season?
I think the same starting 5. Coach Wilson did say after the Fresno State game, you could see he was pretty disgusted with the offensive performance. There was going to be some internal competition during the bye week, and if positions had to be adjusted, they would be adjusted. I don't feel like there are a lot of answers for Nevada or places for them to go on the offensive line, but that is going to be a big point. And we talk about the passing offense. It's a lot easier to throw the ball when the opposition is scared of your rushing attack. And to this point, Nevada's not really been able to run the ball that effectively offensively, its best run game has been Brendan Lewis, its quarterback, making plays either, in designed quarterback runs or just in scrambles and breaking off the play. That's not the most consistent rushing attack in terms of your physicality. Ashton Hayes, who's Nevada's backup running back, he's out for the season more than likely, certainly not playing in this game with a lower leg injury. So it's going to be a lot of Sean Dollars in this game. Sean Dollars is not your traditional back who you're going to give the ball to 20 plus times because of his build. He's a smaller guy, but he's going to have to be kind of that bell cow back, kind of channel that Toa Tawa. And Toa's had some really good games against UNLV, obviously not with the program anymore. So they got to get that run game going to help the passing attack, but it's been very hard for them to run in between the tackles. I think the coaching staff feels like the offensive line is playing better than they were last year, and maybe the results aren't showing. They're actually averaging 3 points fewer per game, right around 15, whereas last year it was 18.8. Yeah, Nevada's offense is the thing I think everyone's going to be looking at because it looked exceptionally poor against Fresno State. They didn't score an offensive point until like a minute or two left on their last offensive possession when Fresno State had the backups in. So you're not going to win a game unless you're scoring at least 20-plus points in this game, and that's been a hard mark for Nevada to hit. Yeah,
the regression is staggering, right? Going from first year with Wilson, you don't really have that much personnel that is returning. It's a brand new program that lost a lot of talent to Colorado State when Norvell went over there. You would think that there would be a step in the right direction, right? Because especially since they brought in all this talent, all these transfers and whatnot. So that regression is staggering. Let's go and transition to the players under center. So Brendan Lewis and AJ Bianco, there seems to be some sort of quarterback battle heating up. Now Lewis will presumably get the opening series on Saturday. Who do you think that Nevada should ultimately stick with?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't get to see practice, so it's hard for me to assess exactly how they're doing in practice. If you just look at the numbers, it's not close. AJ Bianco has been by far the better passer. You look at completion percentage, he's higher. You look at yards per attempt, he's twice as high, like around 9 yards per attempt, compared to Brendan Lewis, right around 4.5. Brendan Lewis has yet to throw a touchdown for Nevada. He has 4 interceptions. AJ Bianco, 2 touchdowns to 1 interception. I think the reason that they're keeping Brendan Lewis in there is because of his legs. He can help that offensive line when they make mistakes and go out and get some plays and some scrambles. You can give him design runs to try and get some first downs on a third down situation. And he is the more experienced guy. But I do think the lease is very, very short. For the first time this season, we saw AJ Bianco come in because of quarterback ineffectiveness against Fresno State. He'd come in before because it was a blowout situation or because Brendan Lewis got dinged up for a couple of plays. This was the first time the staff said, we need to change quarterbacks to try and get a spark offensively. AJ came in for 2 series at the end of the first half against Fresno State, a 3 and out, and then like an 8-yard or 8 down play or series that went for about 35 yards, and then they pulled him out and Brendan Lewis came back in. I think last year they were toggling between quarterbacks so much they don't want to do that. But I would say if Brendan Lewis does not perform at a high level in this game and Nevada loses and the offense doesn't look great, I would turn the season over to AJ Bianco, the redshirt freshman, and see what he can do for the final 6 games, the second half of the season. See what you have there because AJ does have some flash to him. He's got some it factor to him. He's got some playmaking to him, and he's been able to get the ball down the field a lot more. I think you would get more mistakes with AJ Bianco under center, but you'd also get more big plays, and I think you have the potential for more growth from game to game just because he hasn't had a lot of college experience.
And that would be a selling point, right? I mean, it can seem like, it's that this coaching staff is coaching to save their jobs for next year because, you have Remp coming in as a new Nevada athletic director. So, the logical reason, school of thought would be, go with the more veteran player. He'll lead you to some more victories and stuff like that. But you'd have to think a good selling point would be like, hey, we're bringing along this Bianco kid, and he's gonna he's progressing and he's showing flashes and he's special. He could lead us to some more victories down the line. So we'll see. We look at receiver. Before the season, we look at Dalvon Campbell and Jamal Bell, and you're like, oh, that could be a promising group. But for whatever reason, those players aren't just getting open down the field. At a certain point, do you go to your Marshawn Browns or I know Nate Burleson might be more down the line, but you probably have some younger players that you'd probably want to foster and get out there. But
I don't think they'll do that at any point this season. Maybe a quarterback because I think AJ Bianco has shown he can play at this level. I think if you're starting to go to the way younger skill position players, there's so much more of a learning curve there. then I think it's going to be very difficult. So I don't see that happening. But they have to fix the offense. I mean, at a point in that Fresno State game, I was actually like texting and saying, why don't they just put in Shane Illingworth? Like, let's see what he can do. He started 5 games last year. He played at Oklahoma State pretty well. I know he wasn't great in 2022, but what they're doing right now is not working. So you have to change something. You can't keep doing the exact same thing and think the offense is just going to click and become all of a sudden better. So, there are more questions than answers on offense. But, defensively, it's not like they've been perfect either, and they've got to play a lot better. And I think that's going to be a bigger challenge when you look at where UNLV's strengths are. Defensively, they're not a great team. Offensively, they've looked very, very good. So can Nevada's defense go in there and hold UNLV to the low 20s when they're averaging much closer to 40? I think that's a big question mark. So I think a lot of people have focused on the offense, but the defense also has a lot that they got to prove as well. So
that's fair. I mean, look at the metrics. 12th ranked defense. We kind of like allowed them to be for basically holding themselves into games. They hold the opposing offenses, and do well. We come in and talk about this on our podcast and be like, oh, they outperformed those expectations. But if you look at the metrics, 38.4 points per game yielded. That's among the worst in the Mountain West. 511 yards per game. That's a track meet. Rushing's not as bad. 185. That's still a lot of rushing yards. 326 yards passing per game. So, if there's a weakness that UNLV can exploit, I mean, they're not a prolific passing offense, but they are a prolific running offense.
Yeah.
So we'll see, and that'll be the battle of the offense and defense there. But
I think you look at Nevada's defense; they're getting better though. Against Fresno State, it was really like 4 or 5 plays. In the first half, it was just 2 plays. So I would say at this point, the defense, it seems like 95% of the plays are pretty good, and then they have those busts. And those busts lead to 7 points. So they can't allow those explosive plays, so that's a big point where they have to improve. But Nevada's already also played much better offensive football teams than defensive football teams. Like Kansas has a really good offense. USC obviously has a good offense. Texas State has a good offense. Idaho, it is an FCS school, but their strength is offense. And then you look at Fresno State, I would say they're a stronger defensive team, but they've had a pretty good offense as well. So I think that defense has been tested more. So you look at those stats and you can kind of say, okay, well, that's been against a little bit higher level of competition than Nevada's offense has faced against defenses. But, this is what we live for. I know college sports now is kind of transactional. It's all about money. It's USC playing in the Big Ten. It's Stanford playing in the ACC. The heart and what made college sports really cool was rivalries that made geographic sense. And now you have the 2 teams in northern Nevada, the Silver State, the 2 athletic departments that have football teams going against each other, and an afternoon kickoff, which is what everybody wants, right? Like that's the nostalgia of college sports is rivals playing in the afternoon and a major trophy on the line for whoever wins. So, a lot of games you can go into and it'd be like, well, Nevada, New Mexico, like we'll watch, obviously we'll cover it, but do you have a lot of... doesn't have a lot behind it. Like this is the game that has a lot behind it. So you never know what might happen. There might be a brawl at the end. We've seen that. There might be a player throw his helmet at an opposing coach. We've seen that. There might be a coach get hit in the face with a beer bottle at halftime. We've seen that. We've seen last-second goal line stands last year. We've seen last-second touchdowns. Kyle Salmons in 2005, I think it was, maybe 2006. So there's been a lot of really special games in this series, and this might be the next one.
What's the one that sticks out to you? Like you ranked it.
I have ranked all of them.
Yeah.
So number 1 was the 1995 game that had 2 brawls and Quincy Sanders of Reed High School throwing his helmet at Coach Alt. I obviously didn't cover that one. I would have been 13 years old at the time.
Yeah.
The brawl that I got to witness in 2019, the only overtime game in this rivalry series out of 48 games, that's one that obviously sticks in my mind. The 2009 game, Mike Ball ran for 5 touchdowns. Nevada turned the ball over 4 times and still scored 63 points. That was the most in the series history. 2012, I believe it was, Nevada shut out UNLV. I think they completed only 2 passes that entire game. That's the only shutout in this series history. So just from the ones that I've covered, there's been a lot of really memorable ones. I thought last year's game was super memorable. To have a goal line stand, first and goal from the 3-yard line, and like you said, there was a tip pass that Cam Ziedler, North Valley's true freshman tight end, had on his fingertips. It would have been a very difficult catch. But if he had caught that ball, just think of that moment. A true freshman from Reno catching a ball with less than 10 seconds to go in overtime to win a game, a walk-on kid, didn't come to be. So it's a more painful defeat. But, early on in this series, there were not a lot of close games because Nevada was pretty significantly better in UNLV, but lately we have seen a lot of close games. I remember talking with Jeremy McCauley. He was from Reed High School, offensive lineman. Nevada lost the game in 2013, and I asked him about it the next year, and he said his dad didn't talk to him after the game. He was that upset. Like, that's what this game means to people in northern Nevada, and obviously you'd like father and son to be able to talk with each other, and he may have been a little bit hyperbolic in that comment, but it's just a very, very special game for a lot of people in northern Nevada. And when the teams are fairly evenly matched, I think it makes it even more special. You'd obviously like them playing for like conference championships or a spot in the championship game. That's not the case here, but it could be, like we said, a season salvager for Nevada if they're able to win.
Now, does this rivalry bleed over into your closet? I know, like, a lot of
my closet. No, I wear red. I'm not wearing red now, but
yeah,
I know people on staff are like, "Well, I can't wear red to a game." I'm like, they can't tell you how to dress. Like, we obviously cover the Wolfpack. We don't want them to be mad at us, but they're not our bosses. We could wear red. I would not suggest wearing red for this game. We are doing a pre and post game show. I don't think I'll be going into the red category.
Yeah,
I don't think red looks good on me, anyways. I'm more of a blue guy.
Blue guy, huh?
Yeah,
I'm a green guy.
Green? You gotta.
Yeah, because green eyes.
Okay.
So it makes it pop, or at least my girlfriend says.
Makes your eyes pop.
Yeah. So.
So you love St. Patrick's Day then?
It's a good time. I'm not Irish, but I'll pound some Guinnesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
no, I've got red in my not a ton, but it's more just because it's not my color. I have been coaches have when I've been out at practice. In previous regimes when you can go out there, I have got some comments about I'm not supposed to be wearing red out here, but. Like I said, they can't really tell you how to dress.
Yeah. But anyways, you have a prediction for Saturday's game?
Not ready to put out yet, though.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
3 keys in a prediction. Yeah. That's a sponsored segment. So
it's a sponsored segment.
I can't give away the goods in a non-sponsored segment.
Cover this. Just give me the do they cover or not cover this?
I think Nevada will at least cover.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to lose by double digits.
Right.
I will say that.
All right, yeah.
Will they actually win? I was leaning toward picking Nevada prior to the Fresno State game, but the offense looked rough.
Yeah.
So we'll dig into it a little bit more and we'll give a prediction. But yes, if you're going to put a bet on this game, I would probably put it on the Wolfpack.
Yeah. And quickly, we look around the Mountain West. We haven't really talked about the top there, but this past week, great game in Fresno State and Wyoming.
Yeah. Wyoming beat Fresno State. Now they play at Air Force.
Yeah, some great games around the Mountain West, and some good teams. Now that'll be a must watch outside of Nevada and UNLV on NSN, but that game will be great because the Wyoming defense is top of the Mountain West, and the Air Force offense has that incredible triple option.
Yeah.
Running.
And Wyoming has played some really good competition. Texas State, Texas, Fresno State, whereas Air Force has played literally nobody. Okay. So we don't know quite how good they are. I also thought it was very funny. So last week, Boise State was down 20 in the first half to San Jose State. They had 3 turnovers in their first 6 possessions. And I just I Twitter searched Andy Avalos' name, and everyone's like, fire this guy, fire this guy. They came back to win. This guy has won 10 straight Mountain West regular season games, and I think he's 15-3 in Mountain West games in his career, and they're already trying to fire him. That's the kind of pressure you have when you're at Boise State. Yeah. Kind of crazy how different schools have different expectations. You beat UNLV at Nevada and you lose the other 11, like you said. Some people are happy. I don't think the administration would be very happy if that's the end case. Mm-hmm. But at Boise State, you better win all your games.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been a good season in the Mountain West. I think they're in a good spot to get into a New Year's Six Bowl. Wyoming is second in both major polls and others receiving votes. Air Force is third. Fresno State spent some time in the top 25. So you got 3 teams that could maybe be sitting there playing in a New Year's Six Bowl at the end of the season.
Yeah, and obviously the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl is kind of a cooler bowl. If Nevada were to ever go to that, if you were to go to LA, would you look forward to potentially going to visit Dodger Stadium or meeting Jimmy Kimmel himself, or maybe catching a Laker game or something like that?
Well,
what would be on the bucket list of your LA?
It'd be in December, so there'd be no Dodger game.
Yeah.
I don't really need to see Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
I'm not a big Jimmy Kimmel guy. If Conan was there, I'd go see him.
Yeah.
On my bucket list, I'd go. Lakers game would be very cool. So that's played at SoFi Stadium. You were there last weekend for You're a big Eagles guy.
Yeah, I'm a big Eagles.
They're
Eagle
also
guy.
green.
They are green. Yeah. So I don't know. There's a pattern here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched the Eagles play. Took on the Rams. I went to the tailgate. Friends of Philly. Open bar. All the works and stuff like that. But we were dancing, and it was an incredible time. And all these Eagle fans, just letting out the E-A-G-L-E. Like it was a drunken good time, and it felt like I was in Silver Linings Playbook for a little bit. But yeah, LA definitely has some cool stuff.
I saw your Instagram stories. It literally looked like you were above the scoreboard.
Yeah.
That's how I were. But if Nevada ever gets to the Jimmy Kimmel Bowl, we'll get you on the sidelines. Oh, but you were up there. I'm like, not usually are you looking down at the scoreboard in the middle.
But I found it cool. Like you get the all 22 angle. You know, I was I'm a salty guy. I gotta be with the real fans up in the nosebleeds.
Nice.
So. But it was a fun game, and it's fun to see competition and football at that level because it's everything's very intentional and done so like at a professional level. So it's the best of the best, and luckily my Birds won. But yeah, it'd be kind of cool to see Nevada there one day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can't give my prediction. What's your prediction for Nevada UNLV?
I think the 10.5. That was at the current spread.
9.5, 10.
9.5, 10. I see that. I actually do think Nevada covers, and maybe I'll give them a 34-31 win.
Okay.
It's a bold statement, but this game's always close.
34-31. That's the Boise State win from 2010. 34-31.
Hey, come on.
And also the Purdue 2019 win.
Exactly.
That's a very special number, 34-31 in Nevada football history.
Yeah,
okay, so you're on the record. Nevada wins. We'll see.
All right. Yeah. Don't hold me to it. I mean, our preseason predictions look awful now. Don't go back and watch those episodes.
I had Nevada at 5 wins. I think they can still get there.
Okay.
You had them at 10, I think.
No. Come on. Yeah, the next Georgia. They have Brock Bowers out there. But yeah, it's hopefully they can get it done this weekend. But definitely not hitting the 7 wins I gave to them. So, but we'll catch you guys later this week. A lot of content coming on Nevada Sportsnet. We have the Vegas Golden Knights on Thursday and Saturday, and obviously we're broadcasting the game against UNLV. Mm-hmm. So be sure to tune in. We'll have pregame. You'll be out at the pregame, right? And,
I will.
And postgame.
Me and Mike Stephenson.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. So tune in, guys, and thanks again for joining us inside the den. We'll be back for more content in the weeks to come. We'll see you.